Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Real Thoughts with Bob Benham. I am your host, Bob Benham, and I appreciate you checking in for another edition of my podcast. Um, Lots to talk about, as usual, and I have to just. I have to talk about this wonderful no kings protest crap. I just have to talk about that because it was the most stupid thing I think I've ever seen um, happening um, in our nation's one of the things in our nation's history because I thought stupidity couldn't get things couldn't get much more stupid, but I was wrong. Boy, these people are really losing their freaking minds. First, it was a bunch of old people out there, the baby boomers out there doing it. Why? I have no idea. Who the hell got them out there doing this and paying, and who's paying them to do it? I mean, that's just absolutely um, crazy. Um, and I mean, singing, dancing. I mean, they looked ridiculous. That that's not a protest. That's just acting out. And what they're protesting doesn't exist. We don't have a king in this country. Never have. Um, I mean, all I could say is wow, wow. Um, it's amazing where the heads and brains of the left are at. Um, what they're thinking, what they're saying, what I mean, still everything is fascism. Oh, the Trump's fascist, and those that follow him are a bunch of fascist followers, and blah 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 blah. And what? If it was fascism, how do you? What? Nothing would be happening. Everything would be locked down tight. And you wouldn't have any chance of being out there protesting or saying a word because it would be shut down. You would have no recourse whatsoever. You would not be sitting on your little computer typing your stupid stuff. You wouldn't have a way of saying it because it would all be locked down. Give me a freaking break. Are you that damn dumb? Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Abso-freaking-lutely. You are that damn dumb. If this was fascist, you would not have a word to say. You couldn't say it. You wouldn't be out there protesting at all because the cops and the military would have your ass shut down in a flat second. You wouldn't be out there saying a word. Give me a break. You people are so stupid. Just plain stupid. You know, oh my gosh. This is how dumb the Democrats and the leftists are. I it just never ceases to amaze me. And they sit there and just keep projecting. Oh, the fascists, the right are the fascists, and they're the ones that are perpetuating the violence and blah blah blah. Blah, blah, blah. What? No, we're not. No, no, we're not. We're the ones that are sitting back here going, "Look at these idiots! Look what they're doing. They're the ones out there doing this stupid." dancing and playing these games and then throwing rocks at ICE agents and police officers and causing injury and harm to all these people for what? For what? Oh, we can't have them doing their jobs and arresting people because it's causing harm. They can't do that. They're arresting criminals. They're not arresting your grandpa and grandma. They're arresting people that have committed crimes, serious crimes. Rape, murder, robberies. I guess you don't mind them being in your neighborhood, huh? Well, you know what? I don't have a problem putting them in your neighborhood. Oh, wait, oh, that didn't go too well at Martha's Vineyard when the governor of Texas dropped them off there. Man, they had them removed out of there in a hurry. They called the National Guard in a New York minute, and they were gone. Oh, we can't have that. Hypocrites. This is what I'm. This is the insanity of it all. The, I mean, this is just. I sit here and I do read. I do read a lot of what the leftists put out there. I do because it's good to know what the other side is saying. You have to know what the other side is saying in order to be able to challenge it. And it is flat amazing how they write their essays and their opinion pieces and stuff, because they don't really have, well, I shouldn't, they just don't have any facts to back them up. You hear these stories about, well, the science, follow the science, and like they did with the COVID and all this stuff. And the science wasn't there because it was a fallacy to begin with. It came from a bioweapons laboratory in Wuhan, China. We knew that. It was, it got released somehow, some way, for some reason. My personal belief was that it was done intentionally. Why, I don't know. And it was covered up as usual, like everything else that goes on anymore. I mean, you look at, absolutely everything that's going on. Everything is covered up. Why? Why does it have to be covered up? Why not just tell us what's going on? You don't think we can handle it? It is. We still have zero about those two attempts on President Trump's life. We still have zero on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Um, and now, of course, the crazy conspiracy theories are going on, and now you got people going, "Oh, well, Israel's involved," and blah 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 blah, and all this stuff. Oh my God, do we really need to go there? Do we really need to go there? Um, you know, that's a slippery slope you just don't need to to hit. That's just not good. Um, then you got them talking about, uh, I mean, just stuff that just not doesn't need to be said and started just for. I mean, look at what they're saying about 9/11 now. I mean, they're still on about that. The conspiracy theories about 9/11 and the Pentagon, the Twin Towers, and blah, blah, blah. There's no possible way that these terrorists could fly these planes into these buildings and blah, blah, and this and on about that. There's no way a plane hit the Pentagon. There was no debris from the plane, and and look how they covered. They put ground cover down, all this gravel and dirt on top of the real immediately after, and you can't get to that stuff now, and all this. Okay, whatever. Was it covered up? There's a good chance of it. Yeah. I mean, look what they did with John F. Kennedy. Look what they did with Robert Kennedy. Look at what they did with Martin Luther King. I mean, there is so much that gets covered up. Oh, I mean, it's the government. It's the government. All these people that are in power, they do the most shady crap in the world. Of course they're going to cover it up. They don't want the public to know what they're doing. They can't have the public knowing. Otherwise, they'd be in prison. And they should be there anyway. We shouldn't be letting them get away with that. But we're doing it. Why? Nobody wants to do anything about it. Because others are involved. You know, I mean, the corruption is massive. And I do mean massive. And it's on both sides. It's not on just one side or the other. Unfortunately, there's just absolutely no way to weed it all out. There's no way, because it's so spread out and so many people are involved. You start going after one and it's just going to just lead to this one, 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 and it keeps going. It just keeps going. And you're just not going to find a clean politician. You're not. There's no clean politicians out there. None of them. I sit here, I live in a fairly small town, and every once in a while, they post on Facebook this little police blotter blog log of what they do. And I just sit there and I just shake my head because I see there's every traffic they talk about traffic stops. Such and such a date, such and such a time, at this location, traffic stop, warning issued, traffic stop, warning issued, traffic stop, warning issued. Not one citation written. Not one. Why? Corruption. Then you've got, I mean, it's, I've seen, I mean, then you've got there are other runs that they talk about, or the domestic violence call. Parties warned about parties warned about um, disturbing the peace. Or no, I'm sorry, apologize. Parties warned about disorderly conduct with violence. Disorderly conduct with violence? How do you get that from domestic violence? In Ohio, when I was working as a police officer 22 years ago before I retired, if you had a domestic violence situation and there was evidence of somebody getting hit, you had to arrest. You didn't have a choice. You had to make an arrest. Where's this disorderly conduct with violence crap? And then they have others where it's party taken, the male taken to another location for the night, or whatever garbage. No, we couldn't do that. Not on a domestic violence situation. No way. You were looking at big time issues if you did that. Big time. Nobody's arrested now. There's no consequences for anything. They look for ways to just let people go. No citations issued, no arrests made. Ah, have a nice day. Be careful. No wonder why crime is rampant. No wonder why you got people acting like idiots all the time. In this town, they act like idiots all the time. I walk outside and go out in my yard and mow the grass. I'm afraid I'm going to get killed by a car running down the street because they're freaking flying at 60 miles an hour in a 25 zone or more. Constantly. Not just one or two cars, it's a constant problem. They don't care. No, sir. No, there's no accountability, no consequences for their actions. And, I mean, there's just and there's no enforcement. There's no the hell, you can't even see it. You don't even see the police. Don't even see them. Hardly ever see them on patrol. I just I just know what the policies were when I was an officer and what they do in these small in this at least in this small town after reading this blog, whatever you want to call it, of what they're doing. And they've put it out a few times in the last couple months on Facebook, and I just read through it and I just go, "Oh my God!" They're some of the stuff I look at and I'm like, they're opening themselves up to several lawsuits, big time. I mean, they get the wow, the stuff I read, and and I don't want to see them get sued, but I just know from my experience as a law enforcement officer, as a police officer, from being in the big city, watching what people did to us up there. You're you're just opening yourself up if you don't take the right action. People will go after you in a second. And these attorneys are looking for that today. I mean, really looking for that today. I don't know. It's just, I just, mm, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I had to laugh too about these. You see all these gambling sites. I'm not going to mention them because I can't stand it. It's with all these legalized gambling sites now and everything all over the place, and I mean, casinos everywhere and all that, and I told my late wife, I've told a lot of people over the years, I said, you know what? I said, this is not going to end well. And everybody was like, well, what are you talking about? I said, there was all this gambling and stuff when the mob was a big thing back in the 20s, 30s, and it was outlawed back then, but it was big. I mean, it was huge. And you had athletes that were majorly involved in throwing games and all that stuff. You had all the bookies and stuff, and and the athletes were being paid off, and you know, throwing games, and I mean, look at I think it was the 1919 World Series with the Chicago White Sox, and they called them the Black Sox or something like that. I'm pretty sure it was that one. I could be wrong by the year. Um, but anyway, with the that whole mess and fiasco. Um, and I just saw in the news today uh, about baseball players getting nailed by the FBI for betting on games and stuff like that with the legal gambling and the mob. And I'm going, history's repeating itself. And I told people that history was going to repeat itself now that they got it all legalized. And everybody's like, no way. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I never know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just I get into conversations with people all the time and telling them stuff, and they look at me like, and then they like I don't know what I'm talking about, and then here we go. But yeah, that's here we go with these baseball players and coaches and stuff all being charged by the FBI, and I'm going, yep, saw that one coming. I don't know why we need to have this stuff. I mean, yes, I get it. People like to gamble, like to do this stuff, and I mean that, but every time you turn on the TV and all you see are the ads for gambling and stuff. And then when you watch a game, you can't watch a game without them talking about, oh, well, we bet this parlay or bet this thing or bet whatever, or bet blah. I don't give a damn. I just want to watch the game. I don't care about what bets were made. Just let me watch the game in peace. Let me enjoy it without giving a crap about what the odds are, what the over under, or whatever. I don't even understand that stuff. I couldn't even tell you what it means because I don't care. I have no idea. I have absolutely zero clue what over under is. When I see this plus 180 or minus, and then whatever the little abbreviations are behind it or whatever in front of, or what, I have no clue what any of that stuff means. None. Could care less. I have no desire to take the money that I have and put it down or needlessly throw it away on some stupid bet. I don't have the desire to do that because the odds are not in my favor. Not in my favor at all. So, nope. Have fun. If these other idiots want to throw their money away, and they are. I mean, you look at how the odds are stacked against you, and look at how much money these people are making. The billions of dollars they're making on these betting sites and stuff like that. So it doesn't make sense why you would do it, to me anyway. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's just another thing. Makes people stupid. It shows the stupidity of people. I mean, if you're going to walk and bet on something, might as well just walk by the door and throw the money in the door and keep on walking, because you're not going to win it with anything anyway. You're losing more than you're taking in. Throw it in the door and keep walking. Anyway, that's just that just drives me crazy with this stuff. How it's not hard to figure out that it's happening. It's not hard to figure out what's going to happen when they bring this stuff back. You know what I mean? I sit here and watch it. I know the history behind a lot of stuff, and I just say, oh boy, this is opening up a can of worms that we don't need. And then it happens. That can of worms is opened up, and here they come. Insanity. It's that definition of doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, and it never comes. And why? Why would you do it? Why would you just keep doing it? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. I mean, I forget what is it? One of those betting sites. The CEO of that one of those sites made like $260 billion. The CEO did. How? I mean, there's no CEO in the world that's worth that kind of money. $260 billion with a B, not an M, but the B. $260 billion. I'd like to kind of have some of that money. You could share it with me. I'd be happy. Hell, I'd be happy with the $500,000. I don't need much. Man, I mean, it's ridiculous that these people have that kind of money. What are they going to do with it? They can't take it with them. They're going to die just like everybody else, like you, like me, everybody. Everybody's going to die. You can't take it with you. It just amazes me how people just have this warped sense of life and feeling and what they feel in what and how they're doing good, or how they think they're doing good, or what they've I just I don't get it. And then you have these, I mean, that's the whole leftist thing with their total embrace of lawlessness. I mean, they've totally embraced lawlessness. They've totally embraced evil, um, demonizing things, um, I mean, they've embraced letting criminals go, no jails, no bond, no, um, just just leaving them to be back out in society to continue to commit crimes, to harm people. Um, I I don't get that at all. I don't get that. Um, I don't get the leftists allowing open borders and allowing a nation to be invaded like it was the last 4 years under the Democrats ruling the nation. I mean, how 20, 25 million just strolled across the border. Um, our nation is hurting because of that. You cannot have that many come in and expect things to just be okay because they're not. Um, we have major problems because of it, and we're just starting to realize what those problems are. And unfortunately, we're not going to feel the big effect of them for probably another 3 to 10 years. And then we'll start to realize, oof, this is really bad. Um, we just need to because we allowed all these gangs in. And these gangs mean business. They really mean business. Um, they mean to do harm, and they mean to do their trafficking in human trafficking and in drugs. Um, and we need to be prepared for it all. We need to prepare ourselves to be ready and defend ourselves from it. Because you look at how many times do you see these videos where these gangs just start beating the hell out of somebody. I mean, though a gang of people. Um, they just pick somebody at random and go after them, and that's not a good situation. You need to be able to figure out a way to defend yourself. You need to think of what you would do in that situation. You need to come up with a plan for that. There's it's that would be tough. It's hard to defend against a group. Um, but you have to think of a way to defend yourself. Um, it just is. I apologize for all these long pauses, but I am just so taken aback because I really never believed ever that this conversation would ever take place in my lifetime in this country. I never believed that the communists would actually be winning. I knew they were doing what I knew they were doing their indoctrination. I knew it. I saw it. I watched it. But I did not know the scope of of their of their success rate until all this stuff has been happening. I mean, I am just flabbergasted that I mean, when I watch the news and see these people that are just totally brainwashed by this stuff. And what's just so sickening is these are people that have been educated in by our educational system. I'm talking colleges, universities. They've graduated college. Um, they have their degrees and whatever, um, and it just shows they've been indoctrinated, not educated. And This was another thing that I foresaw coming many years ago, and I made this point with my parents and my late wife. I told them, I said, I said, I'm afraid of these baby boomers being professors and teaching in the schools. And they were like, well, why? I said, well, they were all about all this free love and doing all this weird stuff in the 60s and early 70s. I said, they're going to teach that stuff to us kids in school. They're not going to teach us what we need to learn. They're going to teach us about that stuff. It's going to be kind of like they're going to indoctrinate us on it. They're going to they're going to really push that stuff. They're not going to push the stuff that we need to know, the real history. They're going to push the stuff that they think is more relevant. And nobody believed me. And that's exactly what happened. They pushed that stuff on these kids and us kids. And I saw it. I witnessed it. They were trying to push it on me. I mean, I was out there doing their bidding, collecting canned food for, the poor, this, that, and the other, doing the whole spiel. Um, and I fell into it. I'm not going to deny that. But, I was liberal in school, and especially in high school. Um, and I, it took me, it took me being in the seminary for a year, and it took me going into the military, going in the Navy, to have my eyes opened up to the fact of what the liberals and the progressives were doing. I was fortunate to have served under President Ronald Reagan. I was fortunate to be able to have listened to what he was saying. I was fortunate to have listened to his opposition and what they were saying. And his opposition was saying the same things that they say today. Exact same things. Nothing's changed. They don't have a new argument. They don't have anything. They really don't. It's the same old deal. Um, the Democrats, liberal, progressives, they have no absolutely no ideas, nothing fresh, nothing new, nothing that they can talk about that's worthy of any solution to anything other than the communism, which they're been discussing and pushing hard. Um, the whole defund the police and this and that and the other. And the whole point of that is to federalize the police, make it where the military is the police. Um, and trust me, we don't want that. You do not want soldiers standing on the street corners. Don't want that. I saw that overseas when I was in the Navy. You don't want that. Um, it that's all they've got, though. That's been their goal since day one, is to get us to be a communist nation. They've used different language to get us to this point, like progressivism, um, and, and words similar to that. That's if you look at the role of communism and stuff like that, and the different words to get to that point, progressivism and stuff like that are some of the words to get to that point. Um, and they've been successful. They have. I mean, look where we're at. Um, they've got the media totally in their corner. So we have absolutely very little um, any recourse to real information other than the internet to be able to figure out what the truth is. And even that is relying on the internet is a crapshoot, because there's so much information that is it's very questionable. You just have to be very careful. And I can tell you, I fell into the trap early on when all this internet stuff started. I used to be one of these people that you would forward emails and stuff like that from friends and stuff, and uh, repost stuff on Facebook about this or whatever. And I got caught a couple times reposting stuff that just it wasn't true. And I was fortunate enough that a friend of mine said, hey, that's not true. You better look it up and check it out before you repost stuff, so that way you don't get burned on it and you don't look like a fool for reposting something that's not true. And I went, I don't like looking like a fool. And so um, I looked it up. It sure enough, it wasn't true, and I ended up taking the post down. I said, and I actually put up another post saying, "Hey, what I posted and had reposted, that was not true. I shouldn't have put it up there. I should have looked and checked before I did, and that's not going to happen again." So uh, that's why when I decided to start my website and start podcasting, I said, whatever is here, I'm going to make sure that I looked up the information and made sure it's true. And it's going to be based off of what I learned personally, what I've read from the places I've been, and not strictly from some internet website or whatever. So that way I give you what the truth is and give you what I've read from historical sites, from places I've been, that, from the actual place itself, not from some other garbage source. And that's why I make sure that I give you the best information I can. I don't want to give bogus info out. That's just how I am. So, with that, appreciate you checking in. I apologize for a lot of the silence. There was just too much that was going through my head, and I couldn't quite get the thoughts together. Thank you for sticking with me. It's been a pleasure. Take care of yourselves. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Please put the phone down when you're out and about. Make sure that you are aware of where you're at. And please be safe and watch out for each other. Take care of yourselves. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. This has been Real Thoughts with Bob Benham. I am Bob Benham. Thanks again for checking in. Take care. Bye-bye.